I would encourage anyone who is listening, if there's something you want to experience or to do, then just make it happen. Don't wait.
There's never a good
There's
time
never
to
a
do
good
anything.
time.
And it's something that Tawnya has helped me tremendously in our relationship over the years, to pull myself in and to be present, to be where my hands are. Because I have a natural inclination to want to be always thinking about next. I have a very short memory, to Tanya's point. If I screwed something up yesterday, well, that was
it's
yesterday.
gone, yeah.
I don't give a shit about that.
What I would like to share is just be true to yourself. Every life, it is your journey. It isn't for others. And the more you can focus on being true to yourself, the more enhancement you will bring to others.
I'm excited for this. All right. What up, y'all? Welcome to the Blazin A Trail podcast. I'm your host, Tud Kailech, a.k.a. K1. This podcast is all about giving the listeners a certain mindset and a perspective that will allow the listeners to have the right tools in their toolkit so they can start blazing their own path. All right. Quick housekeeping. Blazin A Trail has now sponsored and partnered with KZUM 89.3 radio station, since their mission is to educate and build community through broadcast media, and that's what we're doing today. And also a special shout out to Matt and the team at Turbine Flats for hosting us. So today we are joined by one of my favorite couples. They are an example of collaboration, of competence, and positive social change, and role models for young, ambitious couples. So guest number one is a cultural index advisor. Shout out to LinkedIn, because this is where I got some of this information from. Entrepreneur and a professional speaker. She provides education. She provides education for business owners on how to properly use technology and websites, and provides training on leadership development. Guest number two is also co-owner of FireSpring. Angel investor, speaker, entrepreneur, Forbes council member. I didn't know that. And the co-founder of the Do More Good movement, and a geek with skills, as he says. So Trailblazers out there, please help me in welcoming Tawnya Starr and Jay Wilkinson to the podcast. Thank you guys for getting a little sliver of your time out of the day to come and bless us with your presence and your information. So thank you for that. So question, starting with Tawnya, if you could sum up the last decade of your life, what is a word or a phrase that would best describe that?
The last decade?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, well, that means I have to reflect. I
Yes.
usually am in the future rather than the past.
We're gonna relax a little bit.
Yeah, so let's see. Wow, Tut. A beautiful journey.
Love it. What about you, Jay?
I would use the word learning.
Constantly learning. I love it. So this podcast is about helping people get off of the fence and getting them to take a leap of faith, because most of us humans learn by doing. And a lot of us are stuck in analysis paralysis, especially with all this influx of stimuli from social media, the actual media, and the list goes on. So everybody believes that we have to have everything figured out since high school, but we know that doesn't work out. So I think it's important that we get to know where you guys started and where you guys are at this moment, and the critical things that you've learned along the way. So obviously start at the beginning. Tawnya, where were you born, and what kind of childhood did you experience?
Yeah. I was born in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, outside of Denver. My mother was a flight attendant for Continental Airlines when they wore hat and white gloves. And, my father was an air traffic controller at Stapleton. They moved shortly after I was born to Arizona because my father was pursuing the next level in air traffic control.
Okay.
My parents should have never been married. They're
Ooh.
two entirely different human
yeah.
beings. Opposites attract, to the point of they just both, it was very amicable. They split when I was 3. My mother and I moved back to Farmington, New Mexico, which is where my grandparents lived. And my father lived in Texas, and my entire childhood was spent living between New Mexico and Texas. And I am an only child, and I thought I just had the most beautiful childhood of anyone I knew, because I got to travel by myself on an airplane, which was super cool, several times a year. And I adored my grandparents, and I just had a really incredible childhood that most children don't get to have. I was very much a tomboy, and my grandfather had a construction company, and I got to like put on the overalls and go and work with him from the time I was 5 until probably junior high. Yeah.
Man. So you were very hands-on in New Mexico?
Yes.
Lovely. Jay, what about yourself?
So my family settled in the Sandhills region of Nebraska in the 1800s, long time ago. And so I grew up in North Platte, Nebraska.
Oh, man.
And my family goes pretty far back there, even before it was officially a town. And my grandmother lived to be 103 in North Platte. She babysat for Buffalo Bill's grandkids, and she told stories of like helping prop him up as he was trying to get home drunk from the bar a few times. And it was just like Tawnya, I had a really incredibly blessed childhood. It was before the internet, so you didn't really know much about what was going on out in the world.
Yes.
Your neighborhood was your world. And I remember just riding my bike around with the wind blowing in the hair, just careless and just really not having to worry or think too much.
Just in the moment.
Yeah.
That's especially this generation, because like I was talking about earlier, there's always something going on, so there's really no time to like actually enjoy the moment and feel with all the senses that you have and be in the present. Okay. Can you guys remember a time where you did something entrepreneurial in your younger years, but you didn't know that it was entrepreneurial?
Oh, yeah. And I don't even know if they still do this in schools, but in elementary school, for fundraisers, there would be like candles that we would go door to door selling.
Yeah.
I remember there was a set of spices, and any of those situations, I was always one of the top
Oh, yeah.
sales. But even before that, my grandparents had a huge garden, and I loved to load the wagon up or the wheelbarrow, and I would go across the street and I'd go door to door asking if people would like to have some fresh produce.
Smart.
Yes. And there are others, but that's on reflection. That's when it started. I loved it.
That's smart. I would have done the same thing if there was like stuff to buy, like a garden. That's beautiful. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I did all the same things that a lot of entrepreneurial kids do, the lemonade stands and all of the other things like that. But the one that really is most poignant in my memory is a story that my dad tells frequently. I was a little bit older. I think I was right around 15 or 16 years old. And I had gone around and worked with real estate agents to offer my services to clean houses and to paint them when people moved out.
Oh,
So
a good
like
job.
people would move out and I would go in and do it, but I hired all my friends to help with it. And my dad tells the story. I had to be 15 or 16 at the time, because he came onto a site and he knew that's where a series of duplexes that we were working on, and I had like a dozen of my friends that were all getting paid by the hour.
And excuse me, he has said that they were cute girls.
Well, okay.
Girls.
There may have been some of that. Yeah.
Both genders want to make money.
Yes. So my dad went up to this house and he said, I'm looking for my son, Jay. I don't remember, again, it was before cell phones, before internet. I don't remember why he was looking for me that day, but he was. And I was nowhere to be found. And one of the young ladies at the house who was painting a door said, I think he's out at the lake. So my dad came and found me, and I remember when he found me, my dad didn't get upset with me that often, but he was just really angry that I was shirking my responsibility and that I was playing at the lake when I had all this work to do. And I told him, I said, Dad, it's fine. I'm getting paid by the job. I'm paying them by the hour, and I walked through, how much I was making on this project. And that's when I realized, really what capitalism is.
Exactly.
And the importance of how to bid and price jobs and turn profits. And he tells that story proudly now, but in that moment, he was so upset with me for shirking my responsibility.
Beautiful. Okay, what were you certain that you were going to do as an adult in middle school, and how did that change in high school?
I had no idea. None. No idea. So
Yeah.
I didn't know what my journey was.
Yeah.
I did not like school.
So you weren't influenced to like go through a certain career or go for a certain career. It was just more of you'll figure it out from the parents.
I will figure it out.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think I probably thought I was going to be like my grandparents, my parents, and just go into the business stuff that they were in. I remember growing up thinking I was going to be a stuntman. That I was. I'd go get on the garage and I would go have an umbrella and jump off and thinking that's going to. I have a lot of injuries and a lot of horrible experiences from my stuntman days, but that's what I thought it was going to be. But I do remember changing in high school. I thought that I was going to pursue broadcast journalism. That's what I thought I was going to do. I wanted to be, I don't know, the next Tom Brokaw or something, and be a news anchor. That's what I thought I was going to do at the time.
And Johnny Carson was influential.
Yeah, Johnny Carson was hugely influential on my youth.
Smoking on the stage.
Yeah.
Right.
So what did you guys end up doing after high school? Did you guys go straight into college, or did you guys take the leap off of the fence and then try and be a businesswoman or try a new idea?
I didn't want to go to college. I hated
I'm
school.
with you.
I hated it. It was not a good experience for me. I wanted to work. I didn't want to be told what to do and how to do it. I'm a fiercely independent human being, and that's what I did as soon as I graduated. I graduated young. I was 17, and I just started working.
Yeah, you wanted to get out.
I wanted out. I wanted to be accountable and responsible for my destiny.
I love that.
And I was fortunate in that growing up, my mother was always very clear with me that when you leave, when you turn 18, you're leaving. You're leaving. I will be here to love you and support you, but at 18, you are on your own. So there was never a question of staying at home and what would I do. I just wanted out.
I love it.
And I started working, and I do not have a formal education.
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? You could still make something out of yourself, even with the societal pressures of going to college. Me and the boys have talked about, there's a lot of great things from college, but there's certain like majors and stuff like that you can learn without going to college, What about you, Jay?
Absolutely,
what did you end up doing?
I shouldn't have gone to college, I'll be frank.
Yeah.
I'll start with that because it wasn't something that I enjoyed. It wasn't something that I was necessarily good at doing. But because I was pursuing initially broadcast journalism, and that's what I wanted to do, I knew that I had to have an education or degree to do that. But it didn't take me very long. In fact, I remember it was my sophomore year of college. I asked a question to one of the I think it was actually Tom Brokaw, now that I think about that. It was.
Coming full circle, baby.
Yeah.
Coming full circle. And I asked the question, how many times did you have to move from one city to another before you became the guy in the anchor seat? And it was a ridiculous number, 26 markets. Well, Jay, I was in 26 markets. And it struck me that that's not what I want. I don't want to do that. And I was already knew I was unemployable. I was wired as an entrepreneur, to Tanya's point. So I took 5 years to graduate because I started so many different businesses all during college. And one of them I ended up expanding on that idea and moved to New York City. And I almost didn't graduate. I had to go in and talk to my advisor. And he said, Jay, you have 23 credit hours left. And I said, I'm not going to finish because I need, this company's taken off. I need to move to New York City. That's where I wanted to build it. And he talked me into taking a summer term with 23 credit hours.
Oh my God.
And there were classes that crossed over like by 20 minutes, and I had to get special permission from the professor to show up here late because I was in this other class. And I did it. I did like in a 6-week college or a summer course, I did the 23 hours, got it done, and moved on.
Was that a rush?
Yeah.
It was kind of a rush. You know, the
yeah.
challenge of doing that was the only way that was going to get me to finish it, you know.
That definitely probably helped propel you. When you're doing multiple things, it already gave you like the life experience before you even led on to that journey. So we already talked about some of the sacrifices you made, but Tawnya, what were some of the sacrifices you knew you had to make with the career choice that you are embarking on?
I've never thought of it that way, to be fair. No sacrifice.
Yeah.
I just, in my journey, have just made a decision as to what I wanted and just moved forward with it. Never at a risk of sacrifice.
I love it.
But because, yes, and I'm just thinking why that just word has never come to mind for me.
Yeah, because like at that point, it's literally how, because some people see it as a sacrifice when they feel like this is not really what's like fulfilling to them.
Right.
So it's like, well, this is the sacrifice I have to make. Especially when you get to a certain age and it's like, now you're fighting against time. So with the young kids, it's like, try and like do the things that you're curious about now. Right.
And again, I will attribute this to my upbringing with my grandmother was a brilliant woman. She was ahead of her time, very forward thinking. She was a women's liber, and yet very much a lady. My mother created an environment to encourage me to be very confident and self-assured, and that the most important thing in our life is that we're true to self and true to heart. And if you follow heart, you will never go wrong.
I love that. I'm gonna clap for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With common sense and good judgment. It was
Yes.
always
Yeah.
the caveat.
Yes.
With common sense and good judgment, do what's true to heart.
Yes. Okay.
And you don't need to be like everybody else. That was my grandmother. Why would you want to be like everyone else? She would ask me that all the time.
There's really no benefit in it other than like being inspired, but that inspiration should lead you to being more like, oh, I actually love myself for doing this because there's nobody like me out there.
Right.
So, okay. So, Jay and Tawnya, how would previous coworkers describe you? It doesn't have to be, you can answer it any which way you want.
Yeah.
I would, people who work with me know that I have a high propensity for like the next thing.
Yeah. Are you more of an idea guy?
So,
Yeah.
yes. So I spend a lot of my time. In fact, it's been a lifetime struggle for me to be, and it's something that Tawnya has helped me tremendously in our relationship over the years, to pull myself in and to be present, to be where my hands are. Because I have a natural inclination to want to be always thinking about next. I have a very short memory, to Tanya's point. You know, if I screwed something up yesterday, you know, well, that was
It's
yesterday.
gone, yeah.
You know, I don't give a shit about that. That was yesterday. But I'm really focused on the future. So most of the people that have worked with me probably get a little bit frustrated from time to time.
Yeah.
That it's hard to kind of find that sequence of action steps that keeps you in the present.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I feel that we should have answered about each other.
I
It would
know.
probably be
Ooh.
easier. That people would, those that you've worked with and those that have worked for you in their journey, are so appreciative of your ability to lead people.
Yes.
He has a true gift in helping individuals each feel incredibly special.
Yes.
It's a beautiful gift, and you have given that, I believe, to everyone who has had the pleasure of being graced in the opportunity to work with you, and that you are internally optimistic, and you can provide vision where others have not been able to, and encouragement.
Beautiful moment. So was FireSpring the first company you guys ever started, created? Or what were some of the first ventures that you individually...
It's the first one we started together.
Together, yeah.
But separately, we each were on an entrepreneurial journey
Yes.
of our own. And we actually have a common background in the printing industry. Tawnya owned an Alpha Graphics print shop, which is a franchise at the time in the 90s when she started hers, and I started my Alpha Graphics franchise. There were more than 300 stores around the world. It was a franchise network of printing companies. And that's actually how we met, the two of us, at an entrepreneurial convention specifically for the printing industry.
It's crazy how things work.
Yeah.
It is crazy. But your Jay's entrepreneurial spirit is different than mine.
Of course.
How many companies have you started? Is it 32?
No, not that many. I've started probably
From going back to
a
high
dozen
school?
or so.
Starting from the lemon.
Most were like, most of the, like if legitimate, like expenses, receipts, like a formal business, maybe a dozen. But most of them are fiery, miserable failures.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're going through that, like, when you're in that phase of making that new business, what are the steps that you take to see if it is even feasible or worth it to take, like, the shot? Like, what were your steps at that time, and now how has that changed?
Yeah, I think,
Oh, that's an excellent question.
I think we can
'Cause there are
only,
two different approaches.
yeah, we can only answer that for ourselves because I remember the business that I mentioned earlier when I was still in college. I started a company called Campus Connection. It was a magazine that was geared at college students, and it was distributed through the college bookstores. I grew it to at the time, the Big 8 schools in the region, and wanted to take it national.
Okay.
And this business was something that was really exciting, but I took on two partners. In order for me to be able to scale the business, I met a couple guys at a collegiate entrepreneurial conference called ACE, the Association of Collegiate Entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And they set up my table. I sold them on my idea. They were two cousins. One went to Stanford, one went to Wharton, and they both came from money. And it was like, okay, yeah, let's partner up on this. But as it turned out, partnering up with them on that ended up not doing well for me, because what it did is it put me from like the owner of this business to a 1/3 partner.
A lot of filters.
And it was a different world. And I remember like a couple years in New York City, we were growing. We had 350 college campuses. We had our distribution up over 1 million. And I remember this feeling, this pit in my stomach that I would get when I was working till 2 or 3 in the morning. Because there were times when I knew it wasn't my dream anymore.
Exactly. You start to have doubts.
It was theirs. It was, we were sharing this, and I had, it was a different thing. And when that pit comes into your stomach when you're working at 2 in the morning, and you really like, what the heck am I doing? Yeah. That's when you know it's time to stop and do something different.
Spiritual moment at 2 in the morning. I like that.
And I think it's one of the most beautiful gifts you had, because it's when you had clarity and you don't want to play another sandbox.
Yeah.
And to know that and
Yeah.
own that and start a trajectory that allowed you to pursue that
Yeah, I
in
think
all of your endeavors.
one thing that Tawnya and I know about each other is that when we are playing in our own sandbox,
Yeah.
we can be so freaking good.
Yes,
But man, you don't want to throw toys over the wall of the sandbox and have to share too much.
of course.
Yeah,
And can we expand on what we mean by that?
Yes.
Because in your audience and those that are listening,
Yes.
because we're not all wired that way at all. And in whatever each individual's journey is, it's so important to just know thyself. And there are those of us that are in a place where we need collaboration
Yes.
of leadership or others in work or in investing or taking on a business idea.
Yes.
There are others of us that are terrified of that regardless of the support we have, and that may not be the best direction to go. And then there are
Exactly.
those of us who we want others to come along with us, and we want to be a part of team, but we want to lead the team.
Hey.
We want to be sole. We don't want others in the decision of, at the end of the day, the bottom line.
Yes.
And Jay and I have both come to recognize that is key for each of us.
To mesh and then also continue on. I like that.
we own what we own and support the other in what they own. You know.
I like that.
But not everyone's like that. So when we talk about what works for successful people, just understanding who they are and who you are, and not necessarily copying with something you mentioned
Exactly.
earlier. Find what works for you.
I like that. It's just like tailoring it to your strengths. I like that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I really like what you guys had to say. So, when you're starting a new company, what are some important tips for those who want to have investors? Like, do you lean more in trusting the horse?
Or the jockey.
Well,
In the sense of, I like the idea, but oh no, I actually like this kid, he's driven, or this woman, she's driven. She has like this passion is fueling her. Or do you guys look at the business model, the value propositions and stuff like that? How do you guys go about that?
there's no question that you can take the best jockey on the planet
Yeah.
and put him on a horse with 4 broken legs and they're not going anywhere.
That's a horrible image.
That's a horrible. Sorry.
That's terrible.
But there's also no question at all that it's the jockey that makes it work.
Exactly.
It's the ability for the leader, the startup founder, the entrepreneur that began the business. If that person is capable of taking the shell shock that's going to happen with anyone who runs their own thing, regardless of how good it is or you are, if you can take the hits and just jump right back up and keep going, if your natural wiring is that allows you to be steadfast and persistent, and if you have the other skills that it takes to elevate the business and make it work, the jockey is going to eventually figure it out.
Exactly.
So yeah, the jockey is the most important thing. There's no question about
The
that.
oil to the machine. I like that.
But it's not everything.
Exactly.
You got to have an idea that works. It's got to
Yeah.
be marketable. It's got to be sellable. It's got to be scalable.
But someone we look at individuals. It is all about the human, the grit, the determination, the persistence, and more important than anything, is this individual resilient to failure?
Yes.
Because we will all fail, and what failure looks like is different. But can they stand up, dust themselves off, and move on?
Exactly.
And not all of us can.
Yeah.
We don't all do that.
Especially in like capitalism, the market will tell you, your idea is not good.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of it hurts to hear that, especially when you build something and it's like your baby, and then you realize nobody likes your baby or think it's pretty. You know.
Right.
Okay, so Tawnya, when you're going to certain businesses and like cultivating spaces to develop leadership, what are some key points that you can give us that you would give to them, if you can? Because you probably charge for this. I don't know.
No, when it comes to leadership, I feel that the single most important belief that I have, therefore it is the suggestion that I give, so I don't know if it's a tip.
Yeah.
But I really am focused on shattering conventional ideology around leadership and leadership development, and that as leaders, we need to know our own strengths and our own weaknesses, live in our strengths, surround ourselves with people who are really good at what our weaknesses are, instead of trying to put energy into our weaknesses. Exactly. It creates a deficit because when every human, whether you're a leader, a manager, a team member, a child, it doesn't matter. When we each have the opportunity to be in a place where we are doing whatever it is that we love doing and we're great at it, we elevate. There is energy and there is passion that we have that can offset our weaknesses versus, and this is based on studies and research, when we put time into our weaknesses, the things that we probably don't like doing and they're not good at, it takes about 30% more energy. So why would we give this precious time that we have that we will never get back into something that is a weakness? Focus on your strengths and everything else will come.
Yeah, I believe in that because it's like you'll put people in those places that, like you said, where your weakness are and allow them to flourish instead of, like you said, taking that extra 30%. Well, it's like we all have a piece to this puzzle, and it's like finding the right people to be on the team to manage everybody so we can all flourish together. Because especially in a smaller town, when it comes to different industries, I see a lot of people wanting to only do it by themselves, but their weaknesses are the things that are pulling them down instead of collaborating on certain things.
Right,
So,
and owning that.
Yes.
Because there is something in human nature, and especially in leadership, where individuals don't acknowledge their weaknesses.
Yes.
Because they feel that there's a perception of maybe
inadequacy.
There's judgment, instead of saying, you know what, I hate accounting, I'm not good at accounting, it is something I don't want to do, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But what I'm damn good at is understanding humans and how to interact and relate and really get someone, when I see opportunity and potential, to help them flourish into an entirely new level. So that is the tip that I give, is to know thyself, but also encourage this in others around you, and to give people the permission and space to say, you know what, Tut, you're not really good at that, and it's A-okay.
Exactly.
Because you are so good at this, and I'm going to do everything I can to set you up for success. And so just breaking that conventional workforce.
Yeah, and it has to be cultivated. It's not something that's just going to happen naturally.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Okay, so can you tell us, tell the audience about the Do More Good movement, and like
What are the thoughts in like the beginning stages to actually make this a thing? Because you guys have a conference next year, so like, what were some of like the conversations at the beginning stage to make this like an actual reality?
So it's been a fun and really interesting journey. In 2016, FireSpring was featured, the company that Tawnya and I founded back in the early 2000s. It was featured in Inc. magazine as one of the 50 best places to work in America. Right? So it was exciting. You know, the truth of that, you know, it's marketing. It's, you have to you have to go to an application form and submit your company, and you're selling them on, you know, how great is the culture. And the truth of the matter is we've got so much work to do. So much work to do to create a culture that we are proud of and that will allow us to sustain and grow what we're doing for hundreds of years, not just years, which is our dream and what we want to hope to accomplish. So I was speaking at a conference somewhere about company culture, because that's what we were known for. And somebody asked the question from the audience. They said, what's the future of culture? Like, what's it all like? Because it's crazy what we're seeing now. This was 5 years ago. What's it going to be like in 5 years? And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you. But I came back, and Tawnya and I were talking about it, and I thought that's a really interesting question. And so we started a project where we have interviewed hundreds of CEOs and founders and leaders of purpose-driven companies. These are certified B Corps, conscious capitalism companies, 1% for the planet companies, registered benefit corporations in their states. And we're talking to these leaders, and we're hearing all this feedback. And there was this like cathartic moment when we're looking over all this data, and it's the realization that it's not just about culture. It's so deep, much more deep than that. It's about your why as a business, not just your what. It's about having a cause.
Exactly.
It's about the connections that we create between our team members, our community, our vendors, and everyone. There's so much more than just the culture. And that's when really the genesis of the Do More Good movement was born. It was this belief that companies and leaders of those companies who don't understand that they have to change the way that they do business, because in a couple of years, I think 5 to 8 years, businesses that don't get this will not be around.
Because it's slowly starting right now.
It's starting. It is already starting because
Yeah.
people won't want to buy their products and services because they won't believe in their companies.
cause, yes.
And people won't want to go to work for those businesses because they want to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. So every business has to aspire to become they have the best version of themselves, and they do that by finding their why and focusing on it. And that's what the Do More Good movement is all about. Our founding board of advisors, it's kind of crazy. It still blows my mind, but it's the one of the founders of the conscious capitalism movement, Mr. Rand Stagen. They call him Uncle Rand. And we have, of course, one of the creators and the current CEO of 1% for the Planet, Kate Williams. J. Cohen Gilbert, who founded B Labs, the creator of certified B corporations.
Wow.
And Preeta Bansal, who happens to be from Lincoln, Nebraska. She is like one of my favorite humans on the planet, but not everybody knows this about Preeta. But when she was President Obama's chief legal counsel in the White House, she is largely responsible for creating benefit corporation legislation that is now passed in 38 states. The 4 biggest frameworks around putting purpose into business that exist in the world are the 4 advisory formative board members of our movement, the Do More Good movement. And it's happening right here in Lincoln, Nebraska, the middle of everywhere, as we like to say. And Graham and I pulled together our resources and have been focused on building this movement up to educate, inspire, and empower business leaders to pursue their path to purpose. That's what we exist for. We want to create 60,000 purpose-driven companies in America in the next 3 years. That's our goal.
And adding to that, one of the things that's been very important is not, when we're talking about business leaders, it can be a business leader who is a solo entrepreneur, a business leader of a organization that has 5 team members, or an organization that has 5,000 or larger. So it doesn't matter what the size or the scale is, and it doesn't, it's not as important if you're a for-profit or a nonprofit, but creating this movement around being intentional of our why.
I love it.
I'm excited for that. I can't wait to see that in like the next 2 to 3 years, because I know it's already going to have an impact. All right, let's talk more about you guys as a couple, as entrepreneurs. How has being an entrepreneur affect your personal life and your social life? It helps that you guys are working together, but how has that affected like other aspects?
Let me cover that, and then Tawnya can go into depth on the other aspects of it. The last thing you just said, we work together because of what I said earlier. We each own what we own and support the other in what they own. And so one of the things that we've had to do really clearly over our lifetimes together in business is to be really clear about who owns what. And it's never okay to say, we share that. That's 50-50. That's not how it works.
I like that.
I know.
So, we have to be clear in business and in our personal lives.
Yes.
It crosses over because we talk about this. We don't believe in this whole work-life balance thing.
Yeah.
It's all life.
Yes. Damn,
We
that's
are entrepreneurially
that.
minded, and we love to do that kind of stuff. So we don't call each other out when we're in our happy place. Tanya's business, the Culture Index business that she's running right now, is growing like crazy. And oftentimes it means she has to jump on the phone and have a phone call with somebody. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it that she's in her happy place, helping other people, helping business leaders and managers figure out how to maneuver through things. And conversely, if I'm working late, as long as we communicate and are
Exactly.
proactive with each other, it works. But I just wanted to address that part of
Yes.
it, and then you can dig in.
On the second part, which is how does it affect? So we have very clear boundaries.
I
Work
like
is
that.
work, home is home.
Yes.
And it is not easy,
Of
not
course.
easy to keep work out of home. And especially during COVID, we'll have to make sure we get back on track with that from being that we've worked more from home. But we do not bring personal conversation into dinner, meals
Yeah.
at home. If we need to do that, we set time aside because it's all consuming.
Exactly.
And that's all we would talk about, would be work and growth and development. And there's excitement to that. It takes away from intimacy and closeness and just that personal connection. So very, very, very strict boundaries.
I like that. It's having that communication about that. I like that. I'm gonna have to use that. Okay. So how do you guys? No, actually, what does success mean to you, Tawnya? What does success mean to you? Not anybody else.
So this is a really good question. I was just talking to someone about this this week. I was doing a workshop training for a Culture Index client, and the question was winning. What does winning look like? And what is the difference between winning and success? And at the end of the day, it's how one feels.
Yeah.
So success for me, I've been giving this a lot of thought. Actually, I lost my father almost a year ago to COVID, and I lost my mother in 2005, and I'm an only child, and I don't have children of my own. So I just have really been thinking a lot about where I am in my life and my journey of 52 years, and what does success look like?
Yeah.
Like, what do I need? And I've never really thought about a pinnacle that I am working towards.
Exactly.
Ever. It is today. Do I enjoy today? Do I enjoy this moment? Do I enjoy what I'm doing? And thinking about success, it is, for me, in the end, whatever and whenever that is, because we do not know.
Exactly.
Every moment we have is truly, truly a gift. Success is that I am fulfilled.
I love it. Fulfillment is very important.
I am fulfilled. And whatever that looks like for me, and that I am impacting others. Is it realistic to impact everyone I interact with in a positive way? No, that is not realistic. I would like, that's idealistic.
It's idealistic, very
but
much so.
realistic. Success to me is to have fewer interactions that are far more impactful on that human,
I love
that it made a difference in their life that I may never know. And that is what success looks like to me.
Thank you for sharing. It's beautiful. What about you, Jay? What does success mean to you?
I don't know. Tawnya and I have been on a journey during COVID to. We haven't called it finding success, but that's essentially what we've been doing. We've gone deeper into our relationship and how we think, and I've spent a good portion of my life believing that my purpose and success for me was about building a legacy, and that word legacy can be misleading, and I think it can lead people down paths. At least this is my
Your take on
now.
it, yeah.
That it can lead you down paths that will keep you from being present.
Ooh, that's
and-
so true.
And I've had a couple of different moments and epiphanies when I stop and think about, and one of them was when Tawnya mentioned her dad died from COVID this summer. And, you know, his ashes are distilled down to a little tiny container that, and we were driving him back from Austin, Texas, which is where he lived and died. We went there basically to get his body because we couldn't be there when he was sick. The service really couldn't happen because it was in the middle of COVID and Texas was really being hit hard. I don't know. There was just something about having those ashes in a little box, driving it back across the country that makes you stop and think. And I was reflecting on my own mother who passed away in 2011, and my grandparents and all the others, and you know, within a couple generations, no one visits tombstones anymore. You know, at least the meaning is gone.
Yeah.
The stuff that we acquire over our lifetimes and keep in tubs or whatever and put in our basements are left to be thrown away by our kids, our grandkids, or their kids at some point. All the things that were really important, we were just talking about this morning, all the things that were important to my mother, as much as I love and adore and you know, crave to have her in my life again, the things, the possessions that she had really don't mean to me what they meant to her. And they certainly won't mean that to her grandkids or her great grandkids, et cetera. So I don't know, life is so fleeting.
It is.
And so I came to this realization that the legacy that I'm trying to leave and build for others, maybe that doesn't matter so much.
Yes.
In 200 years, 500 years, just pick a time. At whatever point, it's going to be irrelevant. All the greatest stars in the world today, the people that we all know, are going to be footnotes in a book somewhere, and people will forget about them.
Very true.
So why not maximize our time and our presence and just appreciate and enjoy the moments we can create? And why can't we focus on just building a success in just being authentic and real and who you are and having real moments and real experiences? So to me, it's about seeking enlightenment and seeking experiences, and not necessarily for others, but for
ourselves. Which is a great segue into Burning Man. So you guys go on this journey of really being oneself and not having to worry about what others feel, think about you. And I think that's definitely one of the things that we're missing as a society, especially in this Western culture, that the spiritual sense of us wants to be free, but a lot of the times we are bogged down by these chains of what people think, how will my parents think of me if I address a certain way or anything like that. What made you guys want to start going to Burning Man?
Well, we have a crazy bucket list of experiences. So you've probably picked up on a theme.
Oh, yes.
Experience. We love experiences.
I'm with you.
We love experiences. We made a decision. Well, I think I live this way, and Jay lived this way, and together it's just elevated that we do not wait. We do it now.
I like that.
And I would encourage anyone who is listening, if there's something you want to experience or to do, then just make it happen. Don't wait.
There's never a good
There's
time
never
to
a
do
good
anything.
time.
Hallelujah.
Whether it's money or time, it will come to you. Just open the door. It's amazing what happens. So Jay, his best friend in North Platte, David Serber, had started going to Burning Man.
Over 20 years ago.
Yes. And so we had some exposure, and it was on the bucket list. And then the opportunity presented itself where we actually had tickets
Ooh.
to go.
Not everybody can.
Well, limited in participation. You know, it's a community of 70,000.
Yeah, 70,000 people from around the world go, and it's hard to get tickets. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Man.
Nick, did you want to add to that? Like, how did we start?
Well, a very dear friend of ours who lives here in Lincoln gave us his tickets because he and his wife were expecting their first child.
Ooh.
And it was like, oh, well, we can't go. So,
And he knew we'd been talking about it.
And he knew that we had been talking about it. So that's when we started. And so that was 6 years ago.
This would have been our sixth year, but it's canceled.
And we've gone every year. We haven't missed one since. But it's canceled this year again. And so we're going to have to make some alternative plans. But the thing about Burning Man that makes it incredibly special is you drive in, you do your tent, your RV, whatever you're going to be staying in. You have everything that you need is with you. You can't buy anything at Burning Man with the exception of like iced tea and
water. Maybe no.
You can't even buy water. You can buy ice. You can buy ice because there's no way to bring ice in.
Exactly.
There's no electricity.
So they haul ice in and sell it to you for like $1 a bag or something. So, but you can't. It's not. There's no economy that happens at Burning Man. You can't buy things. You have to bring everything that you need. But there's a phrase on the playa. That's the desert area where all the encampments are.
Yeah.
The playa provides.
Ooh.
And no matter who you are and what your journey was to get there, you will find that the playa will give you what you need.
I like that.
Because people take care of one another.
Exactly.
It's radical inclusion, radical acceptance,
Radical self-reliance.
and radical self-reliance.
I like that.
And it's that concept of bringing a bunch of humans together in a non-judgmental way. You can be whoever you are, whatever you want to be. At Burning Man, people go there and live an elevated version of themselves with no judgment.
I like that. I would like to do that.
Then
No
you
judgment.
should.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
should.
It's going to happen.
You should do it. And it's not for everyone.
No, I know that.
Burning Man is definitely not for everyone. It's a very harsh environment.
Because, like, I think about it in the sense of, like, if civilization was to, let's say, there's no more electricity for a while, it's like you guys have the experience of, like, okay, we've been in this position before. How do we become self-reliant? How do we provide our skills to other people to be a benefit to them? That's why I think this is, like, something that's missing. Like, as a kid, you kind of experience that, going to camp, doing those kinds of things. But when you get older, you just get trapped in the rat race, in a sense, you know?
Yep.
So, like, it comes back to your point of legacy. So it's like, what I'm doing do I want it to matter in 200 years, 500 years, whatever? So it's like, let me just enjoy the moment. Let me just sit back. So I think it's really good to show people what you guys' journey has been, and then you guys still like to do the human things of, I want to be fulfilled. I want to go to a place where I don't have to be a certain person or aspect of myself and just relax. That's what I love. We'll be right back. Quick question. What is your daily routine? Let's talk about that really quick. How is it very structured in a sense, or is it very fluid, like, oh, this just popped up, we got to put out this fire? What is your daily routine?
You want to go first?
No, you should go first.
So I have I've been a lifelong night owl. So I get way more, and I have high energy and can get a lot done late at night. And so I oftentimes will work late and then sleep in later and could go in later. But my routine when I get started is I review everything that's on the calendar, and I actually go through the process of just making sure that I have all the prep that I need for everything that I need to do that day. And I budget into my time every single day, 30 minutes early on in the day, to read, to inform, to learn something. And I have a series of different things that I use to curate that, and just really, sometimes I'll share bits and pieces of content. But most often, it's just to kind of get into that mindset of learning for the day. And then I just
Do whatever is needed that day.
Yeah, just hammer it out.
Yeah. I have rigidity.
Please define that, because I haven't heard that word and I want to use it.
Rigidity. I'm rather rigid in my work time.
I like that.
I get up every morning, usually at 6. If not, I should be getting up earlier right now so I can exercise. I've been a little sloppy with that. I'll own
COVID
that.
doesn't help.
I'll own that. But I really do like to be sitting at my desk between 8 and 8:30. And I just get in it, prioritize what I need to knock out for that day, review the email, and then I am full on in
The
action.
snowball's rolling.
And during the day, when I say rigidity, I don't allow outside influences to interfere with what I need to get done for the day. I'm very greedy
wouldn't-
with my time.
I wouldn't call it rigidity. You have focus.
I like that.
Okay.
Because like that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. It's like I'm using like apps in my phone to like block out time. Nothing can be distracting, because that's one of the distracting factors in my life. So once I get to that point, I feel like I say I don't have time, but there is time.
Right.
It's structure in that.
Yes. So an example just happened yesterday. You called, asked if I had a minute, and I said I have a minute, and I was deep into responding to a client, and it took longer than a minute. And I said, you know what? That is not time sensitive, and it is not critical, and it is not aligned with what the original point is. If you're okay, unless you need me right now, I need to get back on my task.
Yeah.
And that's what when
Yeah.
you use focus, it could be perceived as being very rigid, but it wasn't. I really am on prioritization.
Yes.
So when I look at the day, it's about prioritization, and I want to have room for everything and everyone. And if I don't have that type of focus,
Yeah.
then I don't have time for anyone.
Exactly.
And then then it's that chaos, and I can't
And
get
not at
anything
peace.
done.
Yes.
And then I don't have that self-fulfillment, and I'm not able to give back in a way that's meaningful to me.
I love it.
So I'm really tight on that.
Speaking about that, let's do rapid fire questions now. All right. Okay. We're gonna go to Tawnya, then Jay. That kind of. We're gonna go that rotation. Favorite motivational quote.
Ask for what you want or take what you get.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's motivational, but it is my
I like
mantra.
that though.
Favorite motivational quote?
Because you got a lot, Jay.
I have to go with
Well, the one that has changed the framing of my entire life. It's a quotation from Stephen Grillet, and I got it when I was 15 years old. We shall pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that we can do, or any kindness we can show, let us do it now. Let us not defer or neglect it, for we shall not pass this way again.
I like that.
That's the one that's been with me my entire life.
How long does it take for you to get ready in the morning?
Oh. Turbo is 30 minutes. Long, 90.
Okay, same.
10, 15 minutes.
And you're out.
Yeah.
Climb a mountain or jump out of a plane?
Both.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't why can't you do both? Why can't you parachute into a mountain range and then hike up
Yeah,
that sucker?
that would be awesome.
Yeah,
That's
I never
ideal.
thought about that. Okay, would you ever want to
And by the way, she climbed to the base camp for Mount Everest a couple of years ago, and was the only female in her entire group that made it to the top of base camp. All the rest of them had to get airlifted out. So
One of a
she's
kind.
Well,
awesome.
16 started, 6 finished. I was the oldest and the only woman, so I'm very proud of that.
Rigidity, focus. I like it.
Discipline.
Yes. Would you ever want to live forever if that was a thing?
No.
Well, so my answer to that is yes, if the body can be kept up.
Like at the prime.
Yeah, if the body and the mind are able to keep it, if they don't erode into nothingness, then the answer is yes.
Okay. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Intense, fun, generous.
I like that.
Yeah. I would say learner, open, and ready.
Okay. Now, vice versa. Describe her in 3 words, and then you guys do, and then Tawnya, you do the same.
Okay, so she is magnanimous. She is spirited. And she is stunning.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, wow. Jeez. That's hard to just pick 3
Yeah.
words. There is nothing rapid about this. Tender. Inspirational. The word is unique, but I have to expand because there is no one on this planet
Like Jay.
Wilkinson.
Amen to that.
Unique way.
Unique way. Okay, that was a beautiful moment. What does a person need to be happy?
Self-love.
Hallelujah.
And mine starts with self too, and it's self-awareness.
Yes. I'm clipping that. If you could teleport, where would you go and why?
Would depend on the season. It depends on what's going on. If it were winter, I would teleport to the Swiss Alps and
Oh, yes.
slap on some skis and swoosh down the mountain. In this moment, gosh, I mean, I can't pick one.
It's
I would like.
late May 2021.
Oh, I want to teleport to Indonesia and go scuba diving.
Ooh, yes. Already have the gear on and everything.
I really don't have desire to teleport to the future, and I don't have desire to teleport to the past.
Good, because a lot of people don't think about that aspect. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, one of our favorite places on the planet that we've ever been. We're avid scuba divers. We've been diving all over, and I would teleport to a reef in the Maldives that's just loaded with clownfish and anemone, and just go into their environment, look over and see a Napoleon fish, and yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna have to do that one day, but I'm scared.
Understandable.
Yeah. What's one thing you wish you didn't own?
One thing I wish I didn't.
Whenever you see it, you're like, why?
I'll start. The one thing I wish I didn't own is the radar detector in my car.
Good answer. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah. I have a speeding problem. On my 16th birthday, I got a speeding ticket for going more than 70 miles over the speed limit. On the day I came from the place
DMV?
where I got my license.
Yeah.
Within an hour, I had a speeding
my
ticket going over. It was ridiculous. That was like the story of my driving life then after that.
I can't think of a thing.
It's okay.
I will probably think of something as soon as we are done, but I cannot think of anything right
Let me
now.
know whenever you
because
think
you
about
know why?
Why?
I try to get rid. If there is something that I wish I didn't have, I get rid of
She
it.
gets rid of it.
Yeah, I like that. What about you?
Getting rid of something?
No. One thing you wish you didn't own.
That's my radar detector.
Oh yeah, you're right. Quality of life or quantity of life?
Quality.
Quality.
All
Love
day,
it.
every day.
And last question: did you enjoy your time on Blazin A Trail?
This has been absolutely delightful.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys
Highlight of
for-
our weekend.
Yes. Do you guys have anything you guys would like to share to our audience? Anything you guys got coming up?
What I would like to share is just be true to yourself. Every life, it is your journey. It isn't for others. And the more you can focus on being true to yourself, the more enhancement you will bring to others. And it sounds simple, but just always look inward.
Yes, very impactful.
Yeah. And so just building on that is the thing that we are, Tawnya and I have been focused on in our journey. And it's something I think we may even have talked with you about this before, Tut. It's about the difference between intent and impact. Because we all in our lives will say and do things that are actions or words that may sting or hurt someone without even realizing,
Exactly.
without even intending that to be the case. Sometimes they are intentional, you know, but
Sometimes they are.
and sometimes they are intentional. But knowing the difference between intent and impact is such an important life skill for all of us to master.
Yes.
And to, if we do or say something to create hurt in another, to honor the impact and don't be defensive about that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
Because that does no one any good.
Exactly.
So
I like that. Do not compare your journey to somebody else's. As you can see, we're all walking a different path. So just know that you're already perfectly in progress. So I'd like to thank you guys for listening to Blazin A Trail. Remember to leave a review, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment of what you guys learned about our favorite entrepreneur duo and other thoughts and concerns. As always, start with yourself because you are the one. So make it happen. Oh, thank you.